I think one of the main reasons why people, content creators and maybe newer content creators or even veteran content creators will hide their problems is because they don't want the backlash in the comments. I mean, geez, this comment section get pretty ruthless. If you're making problems, they won't hesitate. Some people won't hesitate to call you out and call you out big time. So I think that's like demotivating part of it.
Yes.
But if you're able to kind of just persevere and keep going, and YouTube has those guidelines, bullying, harassment, none of that stuff is even allowed on the platform. So those comments get reported and removed anyways.
But just because it don't even have to be bullying to be true, you know what I mean? It don't have to. You don't even have to say anything. They could be telling you the complete truth, and it just sucks because nobody wants to look bad. And then
true.
I tell people, think about how crazy this is. Okay, so I'm working on a video, whatever. I mess up, and a content creator says, "Okay, I'm going to edit this and still put it out to you." That's insane. You know, it lives on there forever unless you get your channel deleted or something. Now I'm looking crazy on the internet forever.
This has been, in reality, as I've been doing online since 2014. This has been going on since the beginning of time. If you can put your work out there for people are going to fluff it up. People are going to make it look better. One of the jokes I always say is, like, my plants have yellow leaves on them all the time. And when I start my stream, I always say, I would have plucked these off before the stream in order to look perfect, but I forgot. So here they are. And the reality is like, that's the way it goes. That's gardening. And you know what? You can learn a lot both ways. You can learn a lot from seeing someone who's succeeding, but you know what? One of the biggest things that I find that get overlooked is pests. And I feel like there's like this misconception out there that you just don't deal with pests. Like, pests just aren't a problem because...
Or you're a bad grower.
Or you're really bad if they show up. And, it's like somebody asked me the other day, unfortunately they have russet mites, and I've never had russet mites. And they asked, how do I help? And I said, I have no idea. I'm sure Chris knows, was really what I said. With all due respect,
flamethrower.
With all due respect, go ask a real grower. Yeah. So I just say it's not a matter of if you get pests, it's a matter of when you get pests. And I think the thing that gets missed is it's an integrated pest management. It's not a reactive pest management plan.
Right.
So, and that's kind of where we get kind of messed up. And you mentioned about Contam. That's kind of why I thought about it, is like, now I'm going to call it Contam because that's way cooler, bro.
It does sound cooler.
That's
you do a real with mushrooms. It's real contamination. You know what I mean?
That's it. And I think like pests and contamination go hand in hand when you're talking about the organes and you're talking about the flowers. That it's a reality, man. And you have to be very careful when you're going in and out of your garden, in and out of your space, because pests and contamination are a very real thing that I feel get overlooked a lot because people just don't want to share the reality.
That's it. If you're going to be doing this, you got to have thick skin. You got to have thick skin. If you want to be a content creator, the comment section is always going to be wild. So if you don't have thick skin, this is not going to be the best profession for you, because they're going to tell you whether you like it or not. They're going to tell you what it is, what they feel, and you can say be respectful, and they can be respectful until tell you that everything you do sucks. You know what I mean? And sometimes you got to take it. Yeah, I suck. I'm going to get better. I made these mistakes. I'm going to get better. I mean, if anybody was in the military, then you're going to have the attitude because they put that attitude into you. It doesn't matter what's going on. You suck, and we're going to get better.
That's the way it's got to be, man. And I think when it comes to gardening, again, that fail forward approach, I don't think a lot of people understand that if you don't go through these situations, you don't know how to avoid these situations. You could do everything that's perfect, but unless you're going through Chris's book, you got the Grower's Bible, you got all these things that you've memorized perfectly. You never have to have these situations come up until they come up. So it's like, I wouldn't say like run into the garden with spider mites and all sorts of issues, but don't freak out when it happens and know like, all right, here's my opportunity to fight. Here's where I can show and prove what I've learned, what I can figure out. We're going to make this happen. I've had times where I've straight killed off a plant because it wasn't worth the time to do it. And I just recently did it with a reverted clone that I got. And people were like, bro, what the fuck? You're a content creator. You can't just make it back. I'm like, bro, yeah. And I'm a dad of 2 kids, entrepreneur, and I'm busy as hell. I got nobody to help around the house. I don't have a wife. So it's like, I'm going to make my time optimized properly. And I'm not going to waste it on a project or a thing that I don't need to. And I think taking that approach that you're doing with your grow and you're doing with the organis is brilliant, because it's like, well, worst case condition, I have way more than I need. Best case condition, worst case condition, you have enough to get by. Best case condition, you have way more than you need. Because in a sense, if you have all 8 of those tents do really well, well, damn, you're good for a while. If a couple don't do good, you still are going to be okay. If you put all your eggs in one basket, like a lot of the outdoor grows, unfortunately, your buddy, if he's one time a year, if that veg time fails, that harvest is done. His whole grow for the entire year is gone. So having that process and dialing it in and learning how to do all this shit is great. It's cool. But honestly, having multiple backup plans set up and having multiple plants and different spores and all these things to ensure that no matter what, you're going to get through to the end.
No matter what. Exactly.
I have two questions. The second one came as I was listening to Rob. Can you freeze organis? Can you just put them in the freezer or something?
You can. A lot of people, well, yes, you can definitely freeze them. But the first thing I thought of right then, so whenever we get finished with the mushrooms, you want to dry them. Now, some people decide to dry them organically, meaning they don't want to use any machines or anything. So they might put them on a counter with a fan, or old school, they used to put them in a paper bag and put them outside in the sun just so bugs couldn't get to them and let them dry that way. But these days we got dehydrators and we can dehydrate them. A lot of people, though, like to use freeze dryers. Now, freeze dryers are expensive for sure, but they're great because if you freeze dry them whenever you harvest them, they keep their shape. So whenever you pick it up, it's actually going to look like a mushroom whenever you harvest it. Whereas if you dehydrate it, they kind of shrivel up a little bit. You know what I mean? Because you're taking all the moisture out of them. So people definitely freeze dry them for sure. And whenever you do that, you're taking all the moisture out, so they last forever. As long as you have them in a airtight container, jar, bag, Tupperware dish, something like that, they'll last for years and years and years and years. So you can definitely freeze them for sure.
Okay,
Nice.
That's good to know, because I
had no idea. I got to freeze the ones I have.
I'm trying to tell you, if you have a freeze dryer, it works great.
Okay, that's great to know. My original question was, we're already this far in. What gets somebody into growing their own organis? Like, what made you think I got to take control of this and I need to do it myself?
Right.
Now?
I always tell people, women, but
that's fair.
It took a minute.
Yep.
It took kind of true in a way.
Yep.
Obviously, you got to be curious about the subject already. So I had spent a couple months looking at, just like I did whenever I wanted to start growing our plants. I'm a YouTuber. First thing you do is you go on YouTube, you start searching, researching, and then at some point you think, I can do this. I think I can do this. So I was doing the same thing with the mushroom side. Obviously, people know me from the 420 side. So I was like, I need to start doing something that's not, because everything that I do is like right on the edge of legal. I mean, it's all legal, but we're in a gray area with the 420. You know what I mean? So I'm looking for stuff that's fully in the green. So that's where I came up with, okay, maybe mushrooms, I could do mushrooms. So I started looking at a couple of videos. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. Maybe I can do it. And then a friend of mine, he actually got some mushrooms from California. And I took some pictures of them when I was at his house. I posted them on my Instagram at the time. And it kind of went like viral. People like, yo, those are tight and all this stuff. And all these women was like, yo, you know how to grow mushrooms? I was like, shit, no, but I'm about to learn though. I tell you that. You want mushrooms? All these women, I love mushrooms. Really? It was a certain girl that I was interested in at the time. She was like, you can grow mushrooms? That's cool as hell. So I was like, yo, I'm definitely growing mushrooms now. So I say women jokingly,
I'm fucking working out.
You know what I mean? I just joined the gym yesterday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, whatever you need.
For real.
I got that.
So I was already interested and started studying it. And then, you just have a spark where you be like, I can do this. My spark is I love women.
This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.